Folate increases thymidine for DNA.
In this video, I'm going to be talking why it's critical and important to have an adequate vitamin B9 and vitamin B12 in the diet, and that is due to uracil incorporating into the DNA, which is not supposed to be happening, because if it does, then that can lead to DNA damage or the increasing in DNA damage. So what's supposed to go into the DNA instead is a thymidine. But if a vitamin B9 or B12 is deficient, thymidine production goes down, therefore less DNA synthesis. And then uracil incorporates into the DNA. It is known in studies that the cancer patients have a higher levels of uracil incorporated into the DNA as a result of vitamin B9 or B12 deficiency. So cells substitute uracil when thymidine is lacking, and then DNA damage increases, and then more repair attempts, and then more strand breaks. Okay, so with those DNA strand breaks, there is a repair process or repair cycles, but these repeated repair attempts from continuous strand breaks does consume and deplete several key nutrients and cofactors. So the first one is a folate, which is a vitamin B9. So low folate, more uracil misincorporation, therefore a vicious cycle of continuous nutrient depletion and usage in an attempt to repair the broken DNA strands. Vitamin B12 deficiency, possibly from parietal cells not producing enough intrinsic factor, because vitamin B12 is supposed to regenerate active folate. So folate or B9 cannot work without B12. Vitamin B6 is also depleted because it helps regulate homocysteine, which is linked to DNA damage if homocysteine is elevated. Also, riboflavin, which is vitamin B2, needed to keep the folate cycle running efficiently. And therefore, if there's no folate, then the uracil incorporates into the DNA. Okay, next is a niacin, vitamin B3. Niacin helps make NAD plus because during the DNA repair process, there are enzymes that are needed, and NAD plus is consumed by DNA repair enzymes, especially PARPs or PARPs. So there's heavy DNA damage from a high NAD plus consumption. Zinc is required for DNA repair enzymes. A deficiency impairs repair accuracy. Magnesium will also get depleted during strand break repair processes because magnesium stabilizes DNA structure. Magnesium is also required for DNA polymerases and ligases during repair. So if strand breaks are always continuous, and then the repair process continues for too long, if the cause of the strand breaks isn't addressed, which is possibly B vitamin deficiencies, then the repair process will keep going, and then magnesium will eventually be depleted or deficient, and then the repair process cannot complete because the DNA polymerases and ligases will be inefficient due to the magnesium deficiency. So it's a vicious cycle. Okay, ATP is also depleted during the repair process because DNA repair is energy intensive, and repeated strand breaks and the constant repair of those breaks will eventually end up leading to high ATP consumption. So a good way to boost ATP is with PGC1A, because PGC1A is the master regulator of the mitochondria, therefore increasing ATP. Chocolate is known to increase PGC1A, so there's ATP for the strand break repair process. Okay, so vitamin B12 needs intrinsic factor to work because vitamin B12 is supposed to regenerate active folate, because if it's not regenerated, which is B9, then the uracil will be incorporated into the DNA, and then that's going to lead to strand breaks that are causing the nutrients that I already mentioned to eventually become depleted and deficient. And the parietal cells in the gut, they have to secrete intrinsic factor for vitamin B12, but proper secretion requires cell polarity. Okay, the tight junction proteins in the gut, known as occludin, claudin, and possibly zonula, these proteins, they happen to preserve cell polarity. If cell polarity is preserved, then the parietal cells are able to secrete intrinsic factor for vitamin B12. Now, there are some foods that can help improve and preserve the tight junction proteins occludin, claudin, and zonula 1 in the gut or the stomach. And one of my favorite ones is a flaxseed meal, rich in ALA, omega-3, fiber, and lignans, supports gut health, and promotes hormone balance. Also, best consumed ground, which is flaxseed meal, for absorption, and not flax seeds themselves that are unground, or else they will just pass by undigested. Also, ground flaxseed makes sure that the ALA is available for absorption. Okay, so if those tight junction proteins are altered or disrupted, leads to barrier disruption, loss of occludin or certain claudins, increases paracellular leakiness. Therefore, there is cell stress, inflammation, or damage because digestive enzymes may leak back into the intercellular space. And then there's also, as a result, impaired polarity. And parietal cells may misdirect intrinsic factor um, instead of the lumen. This could reduce effective intrinsic factor secretion, negatively impacting vitamin B12 absorption. Therefore, reduced folate regeneration, and then uracil incorporating into the DNA, leading to DNA strand breaks, and then vitamin deficiencies. Also, a great food to include in the diet to help boost vitamin B12 levels is salmon. Salmon is a direct source of B12, but not via bacteria in your gut. There are also some bacteria in the gut, if they are produced, that are B12 producing bacteria, but it's weakly absorbed and mostly in the colon. So gut bacteria, they can't be the only source of a B12. There has to be other dietary sources of B12, such as salmon. So the amount of vitamin B12 in salmon depends on whether it's wild caught or farmed. So the daily recommended intake for an adult of vitamin B12 is 2.4 UG. So wild caught salmon contains 4.8 UG of vitamin B12. Farmed salmon contains 3.5 UG of vitamin B12. So a single serving of salmon easily covers 100 to 200% of your daily needs as a fully grown adult. So that's it for the video. If you're interested in more future videos, then make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Keep it locked in here on my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.